Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I work for the ORL, the Okanagan Regional Library. Today I'm going to be slicing something in our MakerBot print and getting it ready to 3D print. I invite you to follow along and see how I do this, and you can easily do it at home. The software is free to download from makerbot.com. It's called MakerBot Print. So let's get started. Okay, on my screen here, I've already gone to Thingiverse and selected my object that I want to print. It's this one here. It's an arm that fits alongside our Replicator Plus. So there's a few things. When I'm selecting something, I like to see that there's been other people who've printed, but maybe look at some comments. So this one I've printed before for another machine and I'm confident in, but where I find this information is I can see if there's been comments made, how many likes an object has, and if other people have posted their makes. So being confident that it has enough likes, I've read comments, I'm going to go ahead and select my file. Along this tab here, I'm in Thing Details. This gives me a bit of information about how I should print it. This is up to the person who uploaded this to add it on. Not all prints will have it. So my second one, I'm going to go to Thing Files. There's only one object, but you'll see there's different ones to download. This is because people often update and revamp them based on usage and feedback. I'm confident I'm going to go with the latest version. I'm going to hit download and I'm going to save it just to my downloads folder. That's fine for now. I'm going to open up my MakerBot print. Up here in the corner you can see its name. And this is where my virtual play field of the exact print bed size that I have. Replicator Plus is the model I have, and I'm going to go up to this project panel here, add model, and I'm going to go to downloads and find my one. So here's a Replicator spool holder version 2, the STL. And STL is just a file extension for a 3D model. So when you see these red lines here, it's telling me there's overhang. It's not going to be able to print properly. So what I need to do is click on the object. I know it is selected if this is highlighted in that blue background, as well as my object has that blue surround. I'm going to click on Orient, and I'm going to, no, wrong one. I'm just going to click until I get my arm laying the way I need it to. Now, it's all the margins are within the print bed. You can see that this red line has disappeared and is a little bit happier with me. I'm going to unclick that just to get out of my field of view. And now I am going to do our slicer settings. Balanced. This is a fast overview. I'm going to go to custom settings and walk through everything. Now, your bread and butter, 90% of everything you want is in quick settings. Base layer. This is the part that touches the print to the print bed. Ours is not heated and a raft really is advised. There's other options. I've not had much success with these in the final look and edges of ours, so the raft it is. Layer height. Layer height, the automatic is 0.2 millimeters thickness. This will give a nice overall finish. You want lower layer height if you want a smoother, more polished, and higher up to what your extruder can handle will give you just more draft quick version. So depending on what your purpose of your print is, you just need to change it. I'm happy with 0.2. I'm going to leave it alone. Infill density, this is how filled in your project is. I need some strength, so I'm going to bump that up to 15%. Number of shells. This is if you think about an egg, the shell is that outer part of the egg. Same with the shell of a 3D print, is your outer shell of 3D print, the outer walls. 2 shells is recommended, 3 shells is strong, 5 is very strong, and 1 is delicate. 1, if you give a bit of squeeze, of pressure to it, it will have some flex. I don't need this to be super sturdy. I need it just to do the job. 2 shells is great by me. So that's a lot of the majority of our, but let's go through the other ones here. Printer. So this is a new option. So purge early end. I'm going to leave that one alone. I have not seen that. It's recently updated. Temperature of the extruder. Now, I'm printing with PLA, and MakerBot does recommend 215 degrees for their machine. Make sure you are using the settings for yours. I'm leaving this alone. The retraction. This is how far the motor retracts within the smart extruder, or whichever extruder you're using. I don't need to touch this. It's calibrated. I'm happy with it. Shells. Now, we've already done some shell decisions. One thing that I'm going to click off of is a fixed shell start. This is when it prints in a continuous loop if we have it clicked off. If I have it clicked on, what it's going to do is it's going to stop and start one corner or part of your print. It's going to start a layer and stop and start and stop, and you get a seam up the side of your project. Not something I'm looking for, and I find that it adds just a little bit more time, that stop and start. So I don't like the look, and I don't want that added time. Infill. We already chose 15% infill. I'm happy with that number. I'm going to go down to Infill Pattern. Now, MakerBot does have ones. I'm looking for speed. They do have ones that are labeled fast. But just watching other YouTube creators and also doing speed tests of my own, I find that linear is the fastest. Point A to point B, the fastest way is a straight line, and I find it really does improve the print time. Floors, not going to touch anything here. This is if you find the first time you print and you need to have some correction in the thickness and the layers are not touching, I'd mess with here. But now, there's nothing. I'm confident in my print. I don't need anything. Supports. So supports would be breakaway parts of your material that if you have overhang, I always use, like, if I put out my arm like this, if I'm printing from the layers from the bottom up, there's nothing that's going to help support my arm as it's like held out like this when it gets to the point of printing my arm. So what supports do, it prints columns in this program that when my arm is now to print, it has something to rest on. So in this case, I don't have any overhangs. I'm going to leave it unselected, and that would be right down here at the bottom. It says none. The other option is breakaway support. I'm choosing none for my print. Base layer. All right, base layer is kind of the bottom layer of your print. Here you can see we chose that raft option. Not having a heated print bed, this is really the best way to go. All right. So I'm confident, I'm happy with all my selections. I'm going to hit done. And now I'm just going to click off this wheel again just to get it out of my field of view. Same with my little project panel here. I can right click and hold down and see that there's no overhang. This is a really good option if you have multiple projects, just to make sure that they're not overlapping, because they will print overlapping. As an example, one time I printed astronauts. Two of them were a little bit too close, so I had astronauts holding hands. All right, now this second button down, the time estimate, it's got a clock with a little play button. This is going to tell me how long my print will take. And depending on the time, I might make some adjustments, but I think we should be pretty good. Let's see. There's a little bit of a wait. That's fine. Working away. Aha. So, getting it ready. My field of view will change a little bit. So now we're not any longer in the model view, we are in the time estimate view. I'm just going to see right here, it's going to use 69.2 grams of PLA, and it's going to take 3 hours and 17 minutes. If I started my print now, at the current time is just 1:37, it will be done at 4:54. Some good information to have. I'm going to see if I can maybe tweak a little bit of things to get that time down in a bit, but let's look at the model. If I right click, I can see it and move it at different angles. This orange here is our raft, that part that's going to secure it to the print bed. because our printers are only smart enough to know where it should print and not where our model might have moved. So this is a really important part of 3D printing in our case with a MakerBot that does not have a heated bed. So on this left panel here, I can see my layers. How many layers does this have? In total, our arm has 558 layers. I'm going to go back to my model view and I'm going to change some settings. Now, anytime you change a setting, you're going to have to do another time estimate, because even if I just move it a little bit on our build plate, you'll see that went from red to gray. It changes everything. So let's go print settings, custom settings, and I'm going to see what I can do about my base layer, my raft. So let's find where I want here. Aha, offset from the model edge. So this is the difference between where the model ends, the very edge of the model, and the edge of the raft. I'm going to decrease this to 2 from 4, and I'm going to see if I change my infill density back to 10. Won't change the strength of it. The most strength actually comes from the shell, not the infill. So infill is an important part, but shell, it will give you the strength if you're looking for something that's really sturdy and durable. All right, let's do another time estimate to see if those little tweaks do anything significant or not. And I'm just going to click that on my field of view. And it didn't do anything significant, but it does reduce a little bit of the PLA, so I'll leave it as is. Let's see, and layer height should be the same. 555 now. All right, so now if I want to get this prepared and put it in my MakerBot, I have a few options. I can do it over Wi-Fi. I can send it directly. I already said that, sorry. I can send it directly over Wi-Fi. I can put it on a USB stick, or I can hook up with a USB cord right to the MakerBot. Right now, I'm going to export this. Let's give it a name. I'll call it printer arm. And I will save it right into my downloads. I know where it is. Yes. Okay, save. Wonderful. So there we have our file extension if we need it, and it lets us know that we successfully saved it. A really important part, because sometimes you pull out your stick too fast and it has not saved. So we are ready to go. Thanks for following along. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. And thanks for joining me today. I hope to see what you 3D print. Bye.